Okay, I had to remember to click record. Just as a reminder, this is the Missouri House District 134 Candidate Forum. On the screen, this is a group of community organizations who share a common goal to excite, engage, and educate our community to increase voter turnout. The League of Women Voters took the lead to form this coalition to bring you a series of community forums. The organizations found on the screen, please take note of them. They all share a commitment to represent and serve our community. The League of Women Voters is the host for this evening's forum. Our partner organizations, as noted on the screen, will be hosting other forums for other races and ballot issues over the next 2 weeks. And more information will be provided at the end of tonight's forum. Of course, we would be remiss if we didn't talk about reminding everyone to vote at the general election, which is Tuesday, November 3rd. Please remember to vote, make a plan to vote. So we are recording this Zoom session, and I want you to know that for all of you who are participants, both your sound and audio has been turned off. If you'd like to see both speakers side by side when we begin with questions, you can click on speaker view. That's the best viewing, and that will put them side by side. We also ask that if you would like to submit questions, that you use the Q&A option, which is at the bottom of your screen or at the top, depending on what device you have. We ask that when you submit a question, that you type a question that is concise and to the point. If you would like your name to appear, you can just click send. If you would like to remain anonymous, you can click anonymous. We will select a representative sample of questions from the audience later on in the session. Another reminder is that no part of this video may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or any means, electronic or mechanical, without permission or copyright from the copyright holder, which is the League of Women Voters of Southwest Missouri, all rights reserved. As I mentioned earlier, we are recording this forum tonight, and only the panelists on the webinar will be on the recording. So next, I'd like to I'd be able to identify each candidate. So I'm going to say their names. They're going to have a chance to do introductions here in a moment. But as I say your name, if you would please go ahead and raise your hand. So Derrick Nowlin. You can. And also Alex Riley. Okay, so give me just a moment here. I want to check with my technician here. Thanks for your patience. Okay. There we go. So now that we're off of the slides, I believe both candidates, you can see the candidates now. So I'm going to have you both raise your hand again, that some of them might not have been able to see you. So Derrick Nowlin, go ahead and raise your hand again. Thanks. And Alex Riley, go ahead. All right. So again, to the audience members, if you would like to see the panelists side by side, you can click speaker view. I'm going to stay on the screen. I'm going to be notifying the candidates in terms of time, so I will be posting 30 seconds left and a stop panel so that they know when their time is up. So a quick note about the format of this forum. This is a forum, not a debate, and it will be a civil conversation between both of the candidates about the issues. The candidates will engage in a respectful conversation about why they're running for this position, why they're a qualified candidate, what policy positions they are taking, and how they would serve in this position if elected. This forum is about 1 hour in length, and it will be recorded and posted on websites. We're going to give you the information about which websites we're going to be posting that recording on at the conclusion. Questions have been submitted by the collaborating organizations, that list that I showed you on the screen previously. The candidates' names were randomly drawn to determine who will go first. Questions will be asked of each candidate on that rotating basis. So we've asked them to submit or to complete opening and closing statements for 2 minutes each. And then I'm going to be giving the candidates a 30-second warning and a stop when their time is up, as I mentioned. And then other questions that come after that are going to be about 1 or 2 minutes each. There's no opportunity for rebuttal, although the candidates, you are welcome to use your 2-minute closing statement to address or clarify something brought up earlier in the forum. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We randomly selected that Derrick has been selected to go first, and he will be doing his opening statement starting now.
Thank you, Kelly. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters and all of you for giving us the opportunity to have this forum tonight. I'd like to start off, let everybody know, first of all, I'm from the area. I've lived in this district for about 9 years. I actually have worked for over 25 years in the engineering and heavy construction industry. And the reason I'm running for office is for the simple fact that many of you in my community are not being represented, nor have you been represented for a long time. I, like many of you, for a lot of years now, have worked harder and longer every year to just barely maintain the status quo or even fall behind. I know many of you are experiencing the same thing right now. Before COVID-19, we had a poverty rate in the area of over 25%. COVID-19 has obviously exacerbated that. We have a lot of people in our community who are hurting right now and need our help. Again, that's why I'm running. We have people that need help with unemployment. We have small business owners that need help to stay afloat. We have people that are facing eviction and utility shutoffs right now, again, that need our help. I'm also running because you deserve decent public schools. You also deserve a government that works for you and not the large donors. In short, I'm running because you deserve better. I share many of the same concerns and have lived with many of the same issues that many of you have. And you do not have a voice in your government right now. I want to be your voice in government, and I want to work for you in Jefferson City.
All right, thank you very much, Derrick. Alex, it's your turn now, 2 minutes.
Well, thank you again to the League for hosting us today. My name is Alex Riley. I'm the Republican candidate for state representative here in the 134th District. Just a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Springfield, lived here my whole life other than a short time away for law school. I've been married about a little over 6 years to my beautiful wife, Ellen. We've got a 1.5-year-old son named Mitchell, and then a little daughter on the way. She's due in early December. I'm a business defense attorney here in Springfield, so I defend businesses of all shapes and sizes, as well as our working class in courtrooms around the state. I've worked in the legal field for a little over 8 years, about 4.
We've lost Alex for a moment. Hopefully he will be able to jump back on.
To be a place where they can live and have lived the lives of their dreams and have the same opportunities that I've had. And we've got some challenges here in Springfield. Like Derrick mentioned, we've got an extremely high poverty rate, and that's just not acceptable to me. For too long, we haven't done enough to really address that. That's going to be a real focus of mine, providing meaningful opportunities for those people who are struggling financially to find avenues out of that. Those poverty rates and poverty in turn creates some other issues in our city that I'm sure we'll talk about more over the course of the forum. So again, thank you. I look forward to the questions and our discussion tonight.
Very good, thank you. So based on the order, Derrick, you're going to take this first question. Many families are struggling to make ends meet. You both have mentioned that. Some people work 2 or more jobs just to pay their bills. COVID-19 has hit Missourians hard. What do you say to those families and individuals who are financially struggling right now? What hope can you give them, and what programs and policies can help? You have 2 minutes, Derrick.
Okay. First of all, I would say I completely empathize with these families that are struggling right now. You are exactly the reason I am running. You need help right now. You can't wait for it. And as it stands, you're not receiving that help from either Jefferson City or Washington, D.C. Let me give you hope by saying, as your representative, I would do everything I can to bring about some help for you immediately. We need to increase worker protections, and that includes providing unemployment benefits for people that need it right now. Our unemployment rates have gotten horrendous, and they don't really show any sign of improving. Another group of people we need to talk to in all this are the small business owners. I feel like a lot of them are being overlooked, just like unemployment benefits have ran out. A lot of small business owners, whether they receive the PPP stimulus or not, those dollars really are running out, and they don't have any help on the horizon. I mentioned earlier, and I'll mention again because I don't think we can stress it enough. We have a lot of people that are facing evictions. We have a lot of people that are facing utility shutoffs. Again, they need help immediately. You know, I don't even really feel like they could wait for the outcome of this election until we're all in Jeff City next January. They need help now. Unfortunately, there's not anything I could do immediately to bring that about. But as your representative, that is the kind of urgency I would bring to the office, and also recognizing and understanding the struggles that the people in my community are dealing with. That's the job I want to do, is to go and work for them in Jefferson City.
Thank you. Okay, Alex, you have 2 minutes to answer that same question.
All right, appreciate the question. So one of my primary focuses is bringing more family supporting jobs into Springfield. Jobs that pay a wage where people can actually live off of that wage without having to have multiple jobs if they don't want to do that. So there are a few things to look at when we're doing that. One is where do we need to get government out of the way so the people here in Springfield, here in Missouri, that want to build their own businesses can create those opportunities without government putting impediments in the way. So I'll be certainly wanting to work with our local business community, our small business owners, our aspiring entrepreneurs, to identify those areas where we can cut back and provide ways for people to live the lives that they want to live. And then on the other side, where are strategic ways where government can invest and help provide the opportunity for people to live their dreams? So certainly help working with our local community colleges to invest in workforce development. People can receive the training they need to go on and work in meaningful careers. For example, I was just at OTC taking a tour there today of their workforce development center, and they're doing some great work, but need a little more assistance from us at the state level to help provide more opportunities to people here in Springfield. So my main focus is going to be trying to provide real meaningful opportunity for people to go out and create the lives they want to live.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to rotate who starts, so we're going to go back to you, Alex, for this question. Alex, where do you see opportunities for different political parties to find common ground and to start to bridge the extensive divisions that we see in politics today?
Appreciate that question.
1.5 minutes for that.
I think one of our real opportunities is in the area of criminal justice reform. I know there's some interest in both certain wings of the Republican Party and Democratic Party to make some real meaningful advancements in that area. So as far as a few specific areas, rolling back mandatory minimum sentences, especially in areas of nonviolent crime. I think there's a lot of bipartisan interest in moving forward there. providing opportunities for folks who are currently incarcerated to have give them programs and things like that where they can learn skills and trades, so they can, once they have served their time, they're able to come out and contribute in a meaningful way to society and have meaningful lives themselves. So there are other areas too, but that's one really good example that I think we have a real shot to get some bipartisan work done in the next few years.
Okay, thank you. That same question to you, Derrick. You have 1.5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Well, as it stands right now, it's really kind of hard for the parties in Jefferson City to work together because the Republicans currently have a supermajority, which means they can pretty much do anything they want. They don't need any help or cooperation from people in my party at all. Obviously, I'd like to see that change. There needs to be more parity in Jefferson City between the two parties. I do like that Alex brought up criminal justice reform. I agree. I think that is an issue that we need to continue to work on. Excuse me. I think one area that we need to look at is police reform. I agree with Alex that mandatory minimums don't work. We need to look at doing away with those. But as far as the police go, we really need to bring police work and social work together. Right now, police are having to deal with a lot of situations that they are not trained or equipped to deal that would be better served by having someone with social work expertise in that situation. That takes pressure off the police. That makes things better for everybody else. I would like to see that aspect of criminal justice reform talked about. And another thing that I would hopefully we could agree on is the topic of local control. One example I'll give that is the fact that CAFOs, concentrated agricultural feeding operations, right now they're not able to be regulated at a local level. They're regulated at the statewide level. I've talked with a lot of people in the rural areas that really disagree with that, and hopefully it's something we could work together on.
Okay, thank you. Those 1.5 minutes go by quick, don't they? Okay, so this one goes back to Derrick. This one will be 2 minutes. One of the basic functions of the Missouri General Assembly is to fund public schools, which is a specific requirement spelled out in the Missouri Constitution. How will you work to ensure that all students receive equal educational opportunities no matter where they live?
Okay, thank you for that question. I am a strong supporter of public schools. And I feel that we have been shortchanging our public schools for a lot of years now. We keep changing the formula, and then we don't fund the budget. We cut a ton of money from public schools this year because of COVID. We need to raise revenues. That's a general problem we have in the state, but specifically to education, we're always running short on the money. Now, as opposed to running out and raising everybody's property taxes even more, I'm totally against that. I think there are other ways we could pursue revenue in the state. Implementing the Wayfair tax would be one idea, and also closing tax loopholes for the very wealthy and large corporations that don't really benefit the rest of us. The money is out there if we simply have the desire to go after it. We absolutely have to improve our public schools. We are currently 47th in the nation. I apologize, we're 46th in the nation in teacher pay. In order to maintain the good teachers that we do have and attract good teachers to the state in the future, we have to raise that pay. We also have to protect their public retirement system. That seems to be something that people like to go after. And another thing that I think we need to deal with regarding public education, especially in light of COVID, is for the students. One way we could be helping students in a big way right now, which would also have additional economic benefits, would be supplying broadband internet access to everybody in the state. That would be a job creator, but that would also help our educational system, because I think that remote learning is probably the way of the future, and it definitely is the way we have to do it right now because of COVID.
Okay, thank you. Alex, this goes to you. Same question, 2 minutes.
Thank you. So as far as funding public schools, it starts with making sure that we follow the formula. We have a formula, as you mentioned in the question, that's mandated by state law. There have been attempts in the past not to fully fund schools through that formula. We need to make sure we're complying with the law that's currently on the books. So as far as expanding opportunity to more students to be able to pursue an education, we're making sure that what the education they receive is dependent on their zip code. I'm very much in favor of school choice options. So I'm someone that was homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through high school, and that worked for me. I know that doesn't work for everybody, but we need to be able to provide our families with more flexibility to decide how they want to educate their children in the best way that meets each student's individual needs and not applying a one-size-fits-all approach. So I'm in favor of expanding charter schools. I think that's something that's going to come up in the upcoming session, especially in our lower income areas, our school districts that are really struggling the most, providing students and families with more opportunities to find an education system that works best for them. So I'm an all of the above approach person. I think that we need to be a little more flexible at the state level and how we require education in our state, and providing parents and guardians more flexibility, more opportunity, more choice is going to be a major assistance in improving educational outcomes in our state.
Okay, thank you. So this next question is back to you, Alex. This is 1.5 minutes. Clean Missouri, the constitutional amendment passed by Missouri voters in 2018 by 62%, requires a nonpartisan demographer to draw new legislative districts after the 2020 census. Amendment 3 is on the November ballot and seeks to repeal Clean Missouri. Do you support Clean Missouri? Why or why not? Again, Alex, 1.5 minutes.
I support the amendment to fix really some of the issues with Clean Missouri. And the primary problem that I have is with the way that the auditor appointed by, or the demographer appointed by the auditor is required to draw the district. So under current law, it's a bipartisan committee that works together to draw the districts in ways that are compact to make sure that representatives that are chosen by the electorate actually live in the communities they represent, that they work together, they're in the same neighborhoods, they go to church together, things like that. The issue with the new area under Clean Missouri is that the demographers require districts with 50% Republicans and 50% Democrats. Well, the issue is in the vast majority of the state of Missouri, that's just not really possible. You don't have that many Democrats and Republicans living in close proximity to each other outside of a few areas. One of them is parts of Springfield where Derrick and I are. So in order to make that work, you're going to have to draw these really crazy districts that come out of basically the inner cities, include parts of the inner cities, include parts of rural areas where you're likely to end up with a representative that doesn't really represent the whole community as a whole. So that's my biggest concern with Clean Missouri.
Okay, thank you. Derrick, this question to you again, 1.5 minutes. Stand with the voters.
Okay, I support Clean Missouri the way it was passed in 2018. The voters obviously did as well. The voters spoke very plainly in 2018, and they also knew that the demographer was going to be in there. I like that personally. Even with the bipartisan commission, we still end up with very gerrymandered districts. I am always in favor of fairness. I feel that Clean Missouri, the way it was passed in 2018, will result in fair districts and fair elections, which is really what we need. As far as how they've rewritten Amendment 3 with regards to the other aspects of Clean Missouri that already passed, they're pretty much the same thing. really trying to keep a lid on money in politics with that. We need to maintain that. However, again, I feel that Clean Missouri was fine the first time it was ran on and passed, and it really just comes down to the fact that the voters knew what they were voting for in 2018 on Clean Missouri. That's what they wanted. They obviously voted in favor for it, and I get really kind of annoyed when the legislature goes back and tries to second guess the will of the voters and overturn it.
Hey, thank you. This next question goes back to Derrick. Talk to us about what areas of public policy you are personally passionate about and why. And this is 2 minutes.
Okay. Really, the same issues that I mentioned earlier that I'm running on, those are the same issues that I am passionate about. I am passionate about issues that affect everyday working people, the majority of the people in our community, living wage issues, job security issues, and this was before COVID. Since COVID, I mean, I'm really passionate about taking care of the people in my community and providing the help that they need. Even before COVID, you know, we still need better jobs in the state, more of them. We're going to need even more of them now. We really have to stop the fire of the COVID pandemic before we could even move on to that. I'm very passionate about providing people with health care. We passed Medicaid expansion in the August primary. That is a good start. I feel like it's going to be very important for us in the next few sessions to protect that result as well. But people need health care. When people have access to health care, it's good for everybody, it's good for the economy, and it's good for the state. And again, I mentioned in my opening that I'm running on getting money out of politics. I'm very passionate about that as well, just because not only have I seen it in the last 30, 40 years, but I've seen it for many of the people that I know and for many of the people I don't know. Our government has quit working for us and has quit representing us. And I feel very strongly about that. I am running to represent the people in my district, truly represent them. I'll be working for them, and not for large donors, not for special interest. We already have too much of that. I am, any issues that affect the people in my community, those are the issues that I am passionate about.
Okay, thank you. Alex, that same question is to you, again, 2 minutes.
Appreciate it. And you've heard me talk a little bit about it already, but it boils down to providing meaningful opportunities for people here in Springfield, people in Missouri to go and live the lives that they want to live, to be able to take care of their families, provide for their families in a meaningful way. So what does that look like? So in a lot of instances, it's going to be getting government out of the way. So in certain, one example, in too many instances, government puts too many regulations in the way of our business owners, especially our small business owners who don't really have the means to dig into those regulatory requirements to make sure that they're in compliance. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a business defense attorney, so I work with our business community and businesses all the time. And it always strikes me as really frustrating and unfair that an average business person that wants to do something with their businesses has to come in and talk with an attorney to make sure that they're following all the rules and regulations that they have to. So rolling those back to provide more opportunity. And then on the flip side, government and providing opportunity at times. Like I talked about earlier, workforce development, making sure that we're training our workforce in real ways that can help them get into the careers of the future. So, and not ignoring the trades. We have a real opportunity here for people to become. I lost everyone for a second there. So that's part of the rambling issue, but I see everyone again. So again, apologies for that. But going back to what I was trying to say is investing more in workforce development, providing opportunity there for people who go on to a 4-year college, out of time, so I'll stop there, but appreciate the question.
Okay. We did try to add a few more there since you had a little technical trouble. Okay.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yep. So Alex, this next question is back to you. And this is a 1-minute question. 3 Greene County incumbents refused to participate in the coalition's candidate forums this election season. Will you promise to engage on a regular basis with your constituents if elected? And if so, what will be the best ways for them to engage with you?
The answer to that question is absolutely yes. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to come to this forum today. I've wanted to make myself as accessible to the people living in our district as possible. So I've continued to, I have knocked doors in a socially responsible way, wearing masks, keeping distances, finding out the issues that are of concern to the folks in our district. I'll continue doing that, attending any forum opportunity that's provided. I'll continue that throughout my time in office if I'm fortunate enough to be elected. And then providing just as much access as I can. I give my cell phone number to anyone who wants it. I'll continue to do that as state rep too. I think that we're one of the closest offices to the people, and I want to provide as much access as possible. As their representative, I want to represent them in Jefferson City, and being a representative means being present and accessible to the public.
Okay, thank you. That was your first 1-minute question. All right, so Derrick, this question goes to you as well, the same one. 1 minute.
Okay. I love for the voters to have access to me. This here tonight, the campaign, this is a job interview. I am interviewing for the job of being your representative. You are who I'm going to work for in Jefferson City. And something I've done in the last campaign and this campaign, we go out and talk to the people in the district. That's really the majority of our campaign. I don't know how you represent people if you don't go talk to them and find out what issues are important to them, how things are going in their lives. So actually, that's kind of how I got asked to run for office in the first place, by going out and canvassing for other candidates. I truly enjoy interacting and talking with the people in my community. It's right there in the name, representative. That's the job I'm applying for with you all. You'll always have access to me. I have social media galore, a website, a phone number, and I tell everybody that get a hold of me anytime. The people are why I'm here. So absolutely, please always talk to me.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so this next question goes back to Derrick. So this is a 2-minute question. Currently, racial uprisings due to police brutality and a national health pandemic are disproportionately affecting Black Missourians. So what policy changes or additions do we need to make in this state to address these issues for our Black Missourians?
I think the first and foremost thing we need to do is we need to listen to the African American community. There's not enough of that going on right now. I feel like they're trying to tell us what the issues are, and we're simply not listening. A lot of the issues I'm running on, a lot of the positions I take, things having to do with economic and public education equality. These are issues that affect the African American community, but they affect everybody. I think one of the biggest arenas that we need to look at in regard to this issue, and we've already talked about tonight, but I'll go back to it again, is criminal justice reform. Mandatory minimums. The way policing is currently done, these are falling on the African American community in an outsized way, and this has been going on for a long time. In addition to looking at things like revising mandatory minimums, and also police reform with more of an emphasis on integrating that with social work. I think we also need to look at bringing back community policing in a real way. Right now, we have too many police departments that look like a occupying military force, You know, the police are part of the community that they serve, and we really need to get back to that sort of mentality. And I would say another kind of a side topic, these are all important, but we need to look at things like housing and healthcare discrimination as well. Just about every aspect of our society, people of color are confronted with racism and bigotry, whether it's intentional or not. A lot of it is deeply ingrained, systemic, and we really need to quit kicking this can down the road and start dealing with these issues.
All right, thank you. Alex, the same question goes to you. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you, appreciate that. So I think there's kind of two prongs here. There's first of all the what can government do to address the issue, and then there's kind of a wider what can we as society as a whole do that government can't necessarily impose. So starting off with what government can do, since obviously I'm running to serve in our state government, it goes to some of these criminal justice reform issues we talked about already. The mandatory minimums is certainly a big one. Trying to do some reform on nonviolent crime penalties for sure. I do think that there is some room for reform in our police system, and our officers will tell us that too. So first and foremost, I certainly stand with our police officers and appreciate the life-saving work that they do every day. But there's no question that there are some bad apples that get into our police forces, as there are bad apples that get into basically every occupation. And trying to figure out ways to weed out those people sooner before they can really abuse the power that they have in law enforcement will be key. So perhaps expanding background checks and well, not necessarily background checks, but really digging into background a little bit more than what some departments do previously. I think that's been an issue in the high profile issues we've seen of late. And then body cameras, I think that's something that helps improve accountability. I think officers by and large are in favor of that too, because they see that as protecting both them and the public that they serve. As far as the social aspect of it, government really can't fix because I think at its heart, racism is a heart issue that each individual has to overcome. I don't think you can legislate people to stop being racist. Making sure that we're having those conversations and listening to folks of color that don't look like us is really key for that.
Okay, thank you very much. So this question goes to you, Alex. This is 2 minutes. Missouri is the only state in the United States that does not have a prescription drug monitoring program. According to the National Alliance for Model Drug Laws, a prescription drug monitoring program is a statewide electronic database which collects designated data on substances distributed and dispensed in the state. Will you support a prescription drug monitoring program for Missouri? Why or why not?
I'm pretty skeptical of a PDMP. There are a few reasons for that. First of all, is if government is going to come in and require something and create a database like this, I want to make sure that it works and it actually does what it's intended to do. And looking at the data from other states, I'm not sure that you can really say that their PDMPs have had or really on assisting in the opioid crises. I've seen a few studies in that and just not convinced that the data supports that. Another concern that I have with the PDMPs that have been previously proposed in Missouri is they're just a little bit, they're really overbroad. So they don't just address the drugs that are most common, that are the common causes of our opioid problem here. They're broader than that. So that overbreadth causes me a lot of concern too when we're talking about creating new government databases that record a lot of the most intimate information of the people here in our state. So I'm pretty skeptical of it.
All right, thank you. So the same question now goes to Derrick.
Actually, I do support those. And the reason why is, I mean, really, this is a public health issue. Opioid abuse has gone off the charts in the last decade, if not longer. I have personal experience with this. I used to be married to someone who is very severely disabled and was in a lot of extreme pain all the time. And so I see how often and how freely, not all doctors, but I do see how much pain medicine is prescribed. And it is way too easy to lose track of that. The doctors don't track it. There's not really any agencies that track it. And the majority of doctors that prescribe, they're good doctors. There might be a small percentage, and we're talking 0.05% or something, the so-called pill mills. That's where the real problems come in, and we do need to find a way to keep track of things like that going on. When I was married, she was the first group of patients that was prescribed OxyContin, and we could see immediately what a powerful addictive drug that was. And we've all heard stories ever since then of pill mills all across the country overprescribing these dangerous painkillers to anybody that wants them, really. We regulate so many other things that are dangerous and affect the public health. If this isn't something that affects public health, I don't know what does. And I really see no reason to implement this. Alex brought up some concerns as far as this being pointed at groups of drugs that necessarily don't warrant this kind of attention. Of course, there's always room to be reasonable and have a discussion about what this works on and what it doesn't. But in the whole, I think this is something that we do need to implement.
Okay, thank you. Next question. This goes to Derrick. What grade would you assign to Missouri government in its handling of the novel coronavirus? And going forward, what would you do differently, if anything?
Okay. Boy, if it's not enough, it's a D-. First thing I would do would be to implement a statewide mask mandate, and also a social distancing mandate as well, and enforce these policies. I don't enjoy wearing masks. I don't enjoy having to stay 6 feet away from everybody. But if it means that I stay healthy and everybody that I care about stays healthy, and that we get through this crisis much more quickly without even more pain being inflicted than we've already suffered, then I'm fully behind that. Again, I've mentioned the response, not just with the mask and social distancing, but the economic response. I will give credit where credit's due. Missouri is one of the only states that accepted the federal stimulus a couple months ago, extending the unemployment benefits, but it wasn't nearly enough and not for long enough. Again, instead of looking for the federal government to help us through this crisis, Missouri needs to look within and figure out some real solutions to these problems pronto. People are suffering out there. I mentioned the poverty rates before. One aspect of that I would also like to mention is people are being evicted. They're losing their jobs. This is adding to a homelessness problem that was already very huge to begin with before COVID. So this is really I think COVID is really a all hands on deck moment for the state and our state government. It really needs to do anything and everything it can to provide the help to the people that need it. And we need to think outside the box. It's really kind of a New Deal moment. So I think that's where our state government needs to be on this, which we have not seen that whatsoever.
Okay, very good. Perfect timing. Alex, this question goes to you. 2 minutes.
So I'm not sure that I've seen a state in the union that has handled it perfectly. I think that when you look at the approach of states, you have some that had a heavier hand requiring extended shutdowns. You've had some that have been a little bit looser on restrictions. And I'm not sure that any of those have totally I'm not sure they've really figured out what the trick is to actually reducing numbers. We're seeing really spikes in numbers across the board, regardless of how governments are handling it. So at this point, until we have a vaccine, I'm not really sure that there's a way to really keep numbers from continuing to climb. I think we're gonna be living with this virus for a while until there is a vaccine. I don't think we're gonna be able to social distance it away or hide from it until it goes away. So my focus then is going to be on making sure that we are providing care for those who are most vulnerable to the virus. You know, the good news is it seems about around 99% or more people that get the virus survive. So that's good. But there's still too many people dying. So making sure that we're most focused on the individuals who are most vulnerable, our elderly population, those who have a lot of pre-existing health issues. So making sure that our hospitals, our medical providers have the resources that they need, the capacity of that we don't have that capacity doesn't get too full at our hospitals, making sure that they have what they need to care for the people who are suffering the most. So that's, I think, my focus on moving forward on how we can best address the coronavirus situation.
Okay, thank you. So this next question will stay with you, Alex. The League of Women Voters believes voting is a right and the act of voting should be easy and accessible for all. Do you think no excuse mail-in voting should be made permanently available to Missourians and all citizens in Missouri?
I'm not really opposed to mail-in voting or no excuse voting as long as there's sufficient safeguards in place. I do have a lot of concern over making sure that our elections are secure, that there is integrity in our elections. So having people, if they need to sign affidavits or things like that in order to mail and vote, I'm okay with. But I'm pretty nervous about just expanding it broadly where there's not sufficient oversight to make sure that there's not fraud and things of that nature going on.
Okay, thank you. Derrick, the same question goes to you.
I'm a big fan of making voting as easy as possible for everybody. As far as no excuse mail-in voting, I'm all for it. I think that we should have mail-in voting anyway. Other states have been doing it for years with no problems. The military's been doing it for decades with no problems. I think that we could do it here in Missouri. Of course, we're not going to do it immediately with this election, but moving forward, I think that's something we really need to look at. I would add something else that we need to look at as we implement policies like that is automatic voter registration. When you sign up to get your driver's license, you become registered to vote, no problems. In regards to voter fraud, we always hear about voter fraud. The actual evidence and proof of voter fraud is minuscule. And as far as mail-in voting goes, there's just really never been a problem shown with fraud in regards to that.
Okay, thank you. So is this our last question? All right.
Yes.
So Derrick, this last question will stay with you. In 1992, Missouri citizens passed a constitutional amendment to prohibit an individual from serving more than 8 years in the Missouri House or Senate. Amendment 1 on the November ballot attempts to limit statewide offices to 2 terms. Opponents to term limits say that they contribute to political gridlock, influence lobbyists, increase the influence of those lobbyists, political consultants and bureaucrats, and create greater incentive for lawmakers to seek out lobbying jobs after their time in office. What are your thoughts on term limits, and do you think they benefit democracy? And this is a 1-minute response.
Boy, 1 minute to answer such a complicated question. I'm kind of mixed on term limits because I think that it's, you know, on the one hand, you could end up with good legislators who have to leave office because of the term limits. And of course, on the other hand, you end up with people ensconced in those offices you can't get rid of who are just absolutely terrible. I really am leaning against the even stricter term limits mentioned in Amendment 1. And I do agree with the sentiment that when you have such a high turnover in the legislature, that all the institutional knowledge falls over to the lobbyist and the other people like that. You don't really have a chance in, 4 2-year terms to gain that knowledge yourself. It really leaves you at the mercy of others there. So term limits, I really think that is a complicated issue that we really can't answer in a minute.
Thank you. Okay, Alex, this last question for you.
Well, I think Derrick is right about that, but I will certainly give it a shot. So I, as far as term limits go, I'm not entirely opposed to term limits. I do think with our specific term limits in Missouri, with being in the House for 8 years and then the potential option for 8 years more in the Senate, it does call into question and concern a lot of those things that you mentioned in the question, which is that it gives a lot of outsized power and influence to the lobbyists, to the bureaucrats, to the people who are in Jefferson City or Washington, D.C., wherever it happens to be, constantly, who are unelected. So there are a lot of issues and concerns with that. I do think it also makes some sense to keep people from being in office for 40 years. I think those folks tend to lose touch with the people back home, and that is a major concern. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you very much. So we have come to our closing statements from each of the candidates. So we will keep with Alex on this closing statements. 2 minutes.
Appreciate that. Well, again, thank you to the league for hosting us today, and also to everyone tuning in on this evening and listening in and sending in questions. Appreciate that. I'm running to be the representative for everybody in the 134th district. So I suspect there are a lot of people that were listening today that disagree with what I had to say. And at the end of the day, I'm running to serve you too. So I would definitely appreciate the opportunity to serve you. But if you do disagree, I really want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts. Don't hesitate to reach out. If you hear me make some sort of public statement about it, feel free to reach out and tell me you disagree, tell me why you disagree, and you and I can have a good conversation about the issue. And while we may not come to agreement all the time, we'll at least know where each other stands and why we think the way we do. And I think that's really important, with not just taking votes just to take partisan votes, but to really be able to explain why we think the way we do. So I want to make myself as accessible as possible. So please, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. My phone number is 417-409-6093. We'd love to hear from you, and look forward to serving you hopefully in the future as your representative.
Okay, thank you very much. And Derrick.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank League of Women Voters and all of you for joining us here tonight. Hopefully tonight I have conveyed how seriously I take the job of representing you in Jefferson City. And hopefully I've also conveyed how much I care about you, the people in my community. I'm running because I'm tired of seeing you not have a voice in your own government or have your concerns heard. I'm running on 3 issues that illustrate that: our economic response to COVID, our need for better public schools, the need to get money out of our government so it actually works for you, the people, and also protecting your health care. You're good people, and I'm tired of seeing you being pushed around. Me running, it's not about ambition. This is not some sort of political stepping stone to higher office. This is truly to do the job of representing you in the way that you deserve to be represented. I would ask that you hold me accountable when I'm in office. I would challenge any of you to go look at my donor list to see who donates to me. It's all individual donors because that's who I'm going to be working for, you, the individual, not the large donors, not the large corporations. So please hold me accountable. Again, this campaign and this forum tonight, this is a job interview. And hopefully at the end of this interview, you will find that I've earned your vote for representative. If you would like to know more about me or my campaign, or would like to volunteer or donate, please go to our website, nowlinforthe134th.com. I would also like people to have my phone number if they want to reach out to me. It is 417-569-9852. And then lastly, again, I want to thank you and everybody for having us here tonight. And I want everyone to have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for your contributions tonight. Make a few slight adjustments here. And as noted earlier, I'll provide some additional information about voting and upcoming events. So at this moment, I'm going to put both of you on non-video. Give me just a moment here. Okay. Yep. There we go. Okay, so on this screen, you're gonna see some information about voting in person. You can confirm your registration at vote411.org. If you have moved recently within Greene County, complete a change of address before November 3rd. In-person absentee voting can happen now through Monday, November 2nd at 5 p.m. You can go to the Greene County Election Center on North Boonville Avenue. This is all on the screen. Election hours on the day of the election are 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. So as we always like to say, make a plan to vote on that day. Any questions that you have can be addressed for the Greene County Clerk's Office at the number on the screen, and also greenecountymo.gov. This is information about absentee mail-in ballot. So it's important to know that you can submit a request for a mail-in absentee ballot. The address is on the screen. It must be received by the Greene County Clerk's Office by Wednesday, October 21st at 5 p.m. Now, in regards to notarization of the ballot, all absentee mail-in ballots must be notarized unless you meet one of these at-risk requirements, that you would be confined due to illness or disability, or are caring for someone 65 years or older, live in a long-term care facility, or have a chronic disease. All ballots have to be received by the Greene County Clerk's Office by 7 p.m. on Tuesday, November 3rd. We always say also, do not wait to mail your ballot in. As soon as you get it in the mail, complete it, get it notarized if you need to, and put it back in the mail. Also, as a reminder, we're recording this forum, and we're going to post it on lwvswmo.org, ksmu.org, and thelibrary.org. Please remember that no part of this video may be reproduced or transmitted in any form by any means, electronic or mechanical, without the written permission of the copyright holder, which is the League of Women Voters of Southwest Missouri. We have some upcoming candidate forums. So if you have some friends who are in the 135th district, they are doing a forum tonight as well. The Junior League of Springfield is hosting that one. There is on October 21st, a state representative forum for District 131st. And that is hosted by Ozarks Technical Community College. That will be on Facebook. And then we have a ballot issue forum. It's a pro-con forum on Amendment 3, which we talked about briefly tonight, Wednesday, October 14th at 7 p.m. We'll have Senator Dan Hegeman, who is a state sponsor of Amendment 3, and Sean Nicholson from No on 3 campaign director. Drury University is going to be hosting that at the LE Metter Center. More information on this website noted below. I'm sure if you can go on the Drury's website, you can get more information about that. Finally, as you remember, at the top of the hour, we reminded you that the general election is Tuesday, November 3rd, starting at 6 a.m. until 7 p.m. So thank you again to the candidates and the voters and the attendees who participated and provided questions for us tonight. We appreciate you joining us, and we hope you have a pleasant evening. We'll see you again soon.